Hey there, and welcome to this Astro Alert for early October. I'm calling this the 6 weeks of Scorpio, and it is a very intense time. And there is so much going on in the next few weeks that I got a list. I'm going to try to incorporate all of this in this video, but I'm not going to overwhelm myself either. I want to be clear about what it is my intention to provide with this video, and that is to assist you to be as mindful and aware of what is going on so that you can take most advantage of it. And one thing I want to start with is, while I hate this question, the question why, there is no why. Why is not an answerable question. But there is a sense of the setup that the outer planets have created for now, which is the why in terms of astrologically speaking. It is such an intense time. I had an experience the other morning where I said, oh my God, the next few weeks are going to be very intense. And someone said to me, Michael, you've been saying that over and over again lately. And I said, yes, I have been. And here's why it's even possible. In the last couple of years, all of the outer planets changed signs. Now, this is rare, very rare, that this kind of ingressing of new signs would happen in what in astrological terms is essentially simultaneously. So Pluto started it in 2008, and then Uranus and Neptune about 2 years ago. So you've got the anchors of astrology, the big, slow-moving outer planets that create the landscape of not only our outer world, our global experience, but also our higher consciousness is ruled by these outer planets. And because they've all recently switched over into new signs, and they're all hovering around the same degree points in the sky, it sets a stage for transformation and alchemy as the slower planets, which move the faster planets, the inner planets, which move much faster, every time they change signs, which they do with great frequency, they're dinging all of these outer planets in great succession. So if all of these outer planets are all hovering around 10 degrees of their various signs, which is where they are right now, that means that every time a fast-moving planet moves into a new sign and hits 10 degrees of that sign, it's like a succession of, well, I call them dings, ding, 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 all at once. So Venus started us off a couple of months ago when she moved into Scorpio, dinging all of these outer planets, creating a heart-centering alchemy, which a lot of us experienced as painful healings, a welling up of emotion, a deepening of our groundedness into our heart's intelligence and the feminine principle. That's what the summertime was all about. This period of time, so now I'm talking about early October through early November primarily, is very significant because of two upcoming experiences. One that we're already in, which is Mercury's retrograde cycle in the sign of Scorpio, and the eclipses. Now let's talk about Mercury first. Remember, a while back, Venus went through Scorpio, allowing our hearts to do the opening and the alchemy first. We like that. Mercury, the mind, is sort of backtracking. He's the last planet through the Scorpio stellium, which is incredibly valuable because we want to calibrate our mind's experience in response to our heart's experience, not the other way around. It used to be the other way around in the sort of old consciousness of sort of pre-2012 or pre-2008, however you want to look at the shift and change of this remarkable time. Used to be much more mentally driven. Now it's much more heart driven. And so Mercury coming in the back end of this current passage is very good for us. All of Mercury's retrograde cycles are about integrating at the mind level all of the consciousness that has been gathered in the weeks and months prior to the retrograde period. The fact that he's in Scorpio, where all of the other energy has been the focus and the focal point of the last month or two, means that alchemy is happening, because that's what Scorpio allows for. Now, Saturn, our friend the karmic teacher, is in Scorpio, which means that we are being held accountable at a very high karmic level for the alchemy that's at hand. We don't get any wiggle room anymore. We aren't allowed to say, I'm going to sit this one out. We all have to participate in our dynamic alchemical unfolding. And guess what degree Saturn's at right about now? You guessed it, 10 degrees of Scorpio, which is exactly at that number. 10 is where Pluto is in Capricorn, bringing great change at a slow, determined level. Uranus around 10 degrees of Aries, bringing lightning flashes in that Aries fiery kind of way. Chiron the healer at 10 degrees of Pisces, deepening our access to the Christ consciousness and the field of infinite possibilities that spiritual and high, sort of the high octave of love can bring, because he's been hanging out with Neptune in earlier degrees of Pisces. So the stage is set for this great amount of shift and change at the alchemical level, and Mercury's going to retrograde here, which means he's going to do his integration, interacting with all of these outer planets and conjuncting Saturn, meaning he's getting his marching orders directly from Saturn. And in fact, that conjunction happens today, the day that I'm doing this video and posting this video, which is, if I look at my list, because I don't know the date off the top of my head, it's October 8th. So everything that's happening in your world right about now, in these first, say, 2 weeks of October, pay attention, because these things, these ideas, thoughts, habits, patterns, conversations, confrontations, anything from the neck up that's coming up right now is going to be revisited during his retrograde cycle when Mercury turns around on the 21st of October, and he'll stay there for about 21 days. What we're building to is a couple of day period at the very end of October and the beginning of November that is so profound and powerful, it really behooves all of us to be ready for it. Now, I hesitate sometimes to set the stage for people to anticipate dates, because I get nervous that people will go, oh my God, something's going to happen, I better be ready, or I need to be afraid or worried. Don't let that happen to you. Remember, I'm talking about consciousness astrology, not event astrology. Now, that doesn't mean that there won't be events. These are big, big astrological energies, and there will be events associated with these comings together on especially around November 1st. My plea to you, though, is that you just take this in as a guidance system. That is, the information I'm bringing through is a guidance system for your inner process. Don't worry about the outer process. It will take care of itself. In fact, the more courageously and deeply and profoundly you attend to your inner consciousness work, the better, or the more graceful, or the more serene the outside world will appear to you, even if what's happening on the outside world is potentially viewable as chaotic or scary. So, on November 1st, I got my little cheat sheet here. That's a pretty big moment in the turning point of the shift and changes that are ongoing on the planet that really started in earnest in the middle of 2012 and will be carrying on through the middle of 2015. We're in a mighty gear shift. Driven are astrologically by Pluto and Uranus at 90-degree angle to each other, squaring each other. They'll do this 7 times during the course of this 3-year period, and the I think it's the 4th time this is happening. Happens to be on November 1st. Also on November 1st, the Sun and Mercury, in his retrograde process, will be aligning. This is a very profound moment that happens in every Mercury retrograde cycle where we get the aha. We get the clarity of what it is we are being asked to integrate. So if you get my daily postings for my astro alerts, I've been really asking you to be mindful of everything that's coming up now on a day-to-day basis. Even keep a journal if you have to. What are the issues, thought patterns, habitual responses, criticisms, judgments, anything that's mind-driven that's coming up now is coming up for the opportunity to integrate, alchemize, and shift the way in which your mind is in the way of you dropping into your heart and having a more heart-centered experience of your life. And around November 1st, and certainly on November 1st, you will be faced with an opportunity to be clear about these habits, thought patterns, etc. that want to be shifted and changed, and you'll be supported dramatically by the universe to make the shifts and change, to deepen your level of forgiveness, to release the grip that the monkey mind has on you if you're showing up to the work. And then just 2 days later on November 3rd is the second eclipse. The first one, by the way, which I've sort of skipped over because there's just too much to talk about. Just look for articles and whatnot from me and all over the internet. The lunar eclipse is on October 18th. But now back to November 3rd, the solar eclipse, new moon. The moon is going to contact all the outer planets except for Neptune. Oh, right, and I'll finish up with this. In this 3-day crazy period, November 1st, 2nd, 3rd, we've got this Mercury and the Sun giving us clarity. We've got the new moon eclipse changing our consciousness at the cellular level. And we've also got what's called a finger of God, an adjustment pattern in the sky where Mars will be involved. And Mars rules the body and our ability to embody consciousness. So the opportunity that's available for us, that we're in right now, that has a really wild and crazy peak of energetic experience between the very end of October and the first 3 days of November, is to be diligently in your inner work and then watch the shift and change that's possible. So if all of these details have just left you sort of with a headache and with your mind spinning, then throw them away. They're irrelevant. You don't need to know the details of what's happening and the minutia of the geometry of the day. That's my job. Let me leave you with this. We have never seen such a fertile opportunity to change your consciousness. Now, as a spiritual teacher, I hear from people all the time, both in sessions and emails, of how difficult life can be. And it's difficult because we have these patterns and habits that run us. This is an opportunity to change them at the cellular level. But in order to do that, you've got to be engaged in the work at some fundamental level. And I have to believe that if you're watching this video, you've got some tools that you can employ. Write your forgiveness letters and burn them. Do your deep prayer work. Expand your meditative processes. Commit to that level of self-care that involves what you eat and how you move your body through space so that you can really walk your talk. That's the mantra of the moment. I walk my talk so that the universe can assist me in the magnificent alchemy of the moment. And then behave as if that were true. What would it look like in your day-to-day living if you were living the highest consciousness you possibly could? And when in doubt, stop what you're doing, stop what you're about to say, take a pause, put your hand on your heart, take a deep breath and say, is what I'm about to do or what I am about to say in my highest, best interest? And if not, choose differently. I wish you well through this incredible journey that we're in. God bless.